So hi guys, now when you're looking for flutes and you're a beginner, you can start off with a student flute, and it seems like a pretty good deal because it's just $100 to $200 for an instrument, and it's also easy to play for beginners. Like, the lip plate is more round, so it's easier for you to produce a sound. Basically, it's beginner friendly. That's why it's called a student flute. But there are some setbacks, because after all, it's only $100 to $200, and also it's made for beginners. Because the lip plate is made rounded, it's harder for you to play dynamics. If you're going to play flute for a very long time, then I wouldn't recommend the student flute unless you're willing to buy more professional flutes after this. You can also start off with an actual normal flute, but the problem with starting off with a normal professional flute is it might be more difficult for you to play. If you used a student flute, then you can buy a student flute and then go to professional, or you can just buy a student flute and then go to an intermediate flute and then go into a professional flute. But you know, that costs money. I mean, a professional flute is usually $1,000 to some more than $1,000. But they also have used flutes, so people have used them before. But used flutes are much cheaper, and usually before a store will sell used flutes, they'll probably test it out first. So it should be fine to play used flute. If not, the store is ripping you off. Now there's other kinds of flutes, like an open hole flute, which is super cool. You see you have like holes inside of the keys, where you see is this one, it doesn't. And it's kind of like a clarinet. You need to cover the holes or the air will escape and you won't make the correct note. Or basically, it'll just sound really airy and not right at all. But the thing about open hole flutes is they're just more expensive. Usually they're made with French systems, and French systems sometimes are better than other systems. Oh, and you can see right here they have gold flutes and they have colored flutes, but I wouldn't recommend buying a colored flute because generally they spend more time on the color than the actual flute itself. So it might look pretty, but it won't sound nice. There's also a flute with a B-flat foot joint, so you see it's longer than the normal flute. Like right here, this student flute, you see it's only this long. But here, this professional flute was a B-flat foot joint too. See, it's super long. It has one extra hole than the normal flute. So you can play B-flat instead of just the normal C. You can play it on a regular flute. And piccolo, usually people play piccolo after they've been totally settled on their flute. They have wooden ones and metal ones and all sorts. So once you get into your flute skills, invested in your flute skills, you can get a piccolo. The problem with piccolo is they're pretty expensive too. Like, they might be tiny, and you know, people would be like, oh, because it's smaller it should cost less. That's not true. I mean, tubas cost way more than flutes, but still, a piccolo can cost as much as a flute, even more. So that's that. And I think that's about it when you're buying your flutes. You can buy used ones, you can buy student flutes when you start off, you can buy professional flutes when you start off. It really all depends on what you want to do. If you want to be a go-getter and start with a professional one, you can do that. And it might be a little bit more difficult than playing student flute and then intermediate than professional, but you know, you won't build bad habits, or you won't have to spend more money. But yeah. So that's about it. And have fun buying your new flute. Also, I'm sorry that I couldn't take you guys to a store and actually look at real flutes, and you just have to settle for Google images because I don't have any time and my parents don't want to take me. But Google images is pretty fun. I mean, look at the piccolo. So that's about it, and if you have any questions about what kind of brands you want to buy, you can always look it up online because I'm not a super expert on that. When I bought my first flute, I didn't know like they had different brands. I thought everybody had the same thing. So have fun with that, and see you next time.